Hello and welcome to another edition of American Scouser podcast. I am Gally here from warm Western Massachusetts, which is crazy because I was here in freezing, snowing Western Massachusetts on Monday. But it is wonderful to have the spring weather coming through, and it's even more wonderful to do a podcast like this midweek after a wonderful Champions League win on the road. Jamie, how are we doing, and how is North Carolina?
Scott, I mean, the weather's getting warmer, right? It's brilliant down here now.
I'll tell you what, I played golf in shorts and a t-shirt today, so it had to be pretty good.
Unlike me and Gally with our 15-year-old bodies, you might look good in a pair of shorts.
Well, the problem is you get a little bit of the pasty whiteness, and I think that really deters people.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't have to worry about because somehow I was born 75% Italian or 75% Irish and got all 25% of the Italian complexion that I have. So the pastiness I don't have to worry about. The cold in the range, hitting balls to the left, balls to the right, and chasing them in the woods, buying a new sleeve for the guy who lent them to me, that on the golf course I have to worry about.
That's right.
Which is why we talk about football on this program and not chasing a ball around a large parcel of land.
Much happier with
Jamie, before we jump in to our match recaps and start to get into our agenda tonight, let's go to Irish Jamie's Liverpool news.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Gally, thanks for that warm introduction there. Let's kick off straight away here with young Harvey Elliott. 19 in April, folks, becomes the youngest Liverpool player and English player in European Cup Champions League knockout stages. Moving on, fan favourite and former Red Jose Enrique has signed up for the LFC Legends charity match versus the Barca Legends, Saturday, 26th of March. The tickets are available now. Also, we've got new photos released of the Annie Road expansion. That's to be completed 23-24 season, and it'll see Anfield reach 60,000 capacity. And finally, a lovely, heartwarming, heart-wrenching story. Riley Foster, a Canadian native, formerly of West Virginia University. She had 39 clean sheets and 84 appearances in West Virginia. Made her LFC debut against United in 2020. She suffered a horrific, truly horrific accident in Finland. And just 3 days before, she actually flew out of the windscreen of her car with 4 other friends in the car, which people say might have saved her life because the roof was crushed. Anyway, just 3 days before, she was the LFC savior, having saved the penalties, some spot kicks to help beat Villa on pens. But thanks to her halo fixation device keeping her neck steady, her own hard work, determination, the healthcare system in Finland, and then sending her back to Merseyside as well, her friends, family, all the rat, her bones have finally, they're almost fully healed. It's an absolute miracle. But you can get that full interview on liverpool.com there. That's a truly great story to hear.
Awesome. Jamie, thank you so much for sharing. Great bit of news, and cheers to you, my friend. And I appreciate you covering the whole gamut of this club, which is exactly what this podcast is supposed to be about, all facets of the club.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great story. Fantastic. Great ambassador for the club. The story's truly horrendous. She's not talking about getting involved in football back again. So she has a year period, but great interview. I mean, we all love Liverpool, and we all love the Liverpool women that are in our lives. Our better halves are Liverpool fans. We love watching the Liverpool women do well, which on that, they're 10 games or 7 games on the run. They're doing really well. They're going to get promoted again.
I believe 10 points. 10 points in first
10 points clear. Yep.
10 points clear. 7 wins on the bounce.
A great position to make their way up. So, our first comment here to post on the screen comes from our friend David Cosgrove. Kazi says, "What's happening?" Well, let's talk about what's happening, guys. And what was happening?
Start the trivia in the comment section. You guys play along. We'll just talk amongst ourselves.
What was happening was the match yesterday at Milan. So always great to play against a European giant, another European champion, right? It's what the Champions League is all about. It gives us the best of the best from all the different leagues across the continent. And it gives us, in my opinion, a different feel than what the Premier League does. So anytime I get ready for a European lineup, I expect subtle changes and differences because the way you attack those matches are very much different to how a match plays out in the Premier League. So on our screen, for those who might be listening to the podcast, is the lineup from yesterday that Jurgen decided to roll out. So let me see what you guys, I want to start with you, Scott. When you first saw this lineup and you saw the two major changes, Konate being in the defense, and of course, young Harvey Elliott getting the start over Jordan. What was your initial response and take upon seeing this lineup?
I was incredibly pleased. I think that it was a matter of time that Matip went ahead and got a well-deserved break because, giraffes can't run every day, I feel like. So, throwing Konate in a round of 16 match at the San Siro, a legendary atmosphere that, I heard post-game Van Dijk was particularly fond of playing there, was incredible. It was incredible for him. And if you even think about, how young Konate is, then you look at Harvey Elliott and just shy of 19 years old right now. I mean, he's getting a start, his first ever European start for Liverpool, regardless of, competition. First ever European start for Liverpool and coming in and playing a round of 16 match. I mean, credit to him.
And Jamie, how about you when you saw this lineup and you saw Konate starting at the back? What was your impression of the why? Do you have a thought in your mind? Because I don't believe it was just rotation. I have some opinions on why it was Konate in this matchup. But what were you thinking when you saw him over Matip in such a big match?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind in difference between him and Matip is strength. I mean, he's a beast on the ball. Now, Matip obviously has his plus points, not generating abilities, which I'm sure we'll get to later on in the game. But strength for me, simple. Lautaro Martinez, great striker. Dzeko, another accomplished striker. I thought a bit of strength,
Yeah, and I'm with you there, Jamie. I actually, on Monday night's podcast, for any of the listeners who listened in, I actually kind of made a point that I thought Konate would start this match. And the bigger purpose of it was really Dzeko. I felt like Dzeko's physical presence as a point striker almost allowed for Konate to use the same physical imperious presence that he used the last time we played at the San Siro, when he basically picked up Ibrahimovic and put him in his pocket and walked him around the pitch for the entire match. I find it refreshing that the two greatest performances I believe I've seen Konate perform in were both matches on the road against major European competition in AC Milan and Inter Milan. I think if it were up to Konate, we'd play all of our matches in Italy, and he would just dominate them from all sides across. What was it about the Elliott start, Jamie, to you specifically? What was it about the Elliott start that got you excited, made you nervous? What was your reaction when you saw Elliott's name on a team sheet in such a big match on the road?
I mean, put yourself in the kid's boots. You're in Milan, right? I mean, the kid's a young, fashionable kid. He knows what Milan's all. He's probably been there. He's probably traveled there. But it's an impressive city. It's an impressive stadium. So to walk around that stadium with no fans in there and then gently let that atmosphere build, he must have been very excited. I was too. I spoke on in the news. He's not even 19 yet, and that's his debut in the Champions League knockout stages. He's the youngest English player to do it. I think before him was Trent, and then before Trent was Ashley Gibbs. So I mean, it's been get it, but yeah, I was excited to see Harvey play. Unfortunately, as I'm sure we'll get to, he didn't really fulfill what was asked of him. But Klopp kind of made us all aware of that.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Jamie. Klopp did make the comments pre-match, and he actually said it to the media. And sometimes when a manager that is such a good man management gaffer goes out of his way to say something to the media ahead of time, it almost prepares the fact that he knew this was a big decision. And he wanted to make sure everyone knew the outcome wasn't on Harvey Elliott, right? I loved it. If he plays great, it's all on the kid. And if he plays poor, it was all on me. Because,
yeah.
And to me, that really stated he knew it was a question of whether or not you should be starting this kid. On Monday night, I thought it was too much too soon. My biggest concern is that he's a 19-year-old footballer with the world at his feet. Yet I want him to grow into the player that can take on the world. And I feel sometimes we want to make him a savior. He came back and he scores a worldy goal, and everyone I know says he should be starting over Jordan Henderson. He should be playing over Thiago, and he needs to go into the right wing if Mo can't play. And I'm thinking to myself, this kid shouldn't even be playing on a pitch right now. He should be resting a dislocated ankle. But he works so hard, and he has so much ability, and the manager loves him so much. But sometimes I feel like just like we need to protect ourselves against the expectations of these players, I think the manager really should have protected him. If it were me, I would have given someone else the start and brought him in for what I hoped would be the impact that I think we're going to get to in the second half when we talk about those subs who came in.
Sure.
Personally, I thought it was a little too much too soon. And I thought it being on the road only made it even more difficult. Where if that match was at Anfield, I think he beds in a little bit better. He has all the talent. And to Kazi's point, I can't wait till, he wins the Ballon d'Or in 5 years either. And the crazy part is the kid has all the ability to be at that level of international quality player. But I think that will come with time. And I think what we learned on Wednesday was there are moments to play young kids and moments to bet in new signings. And then there are moments to go with your more tried and trusted and true, attack-minded and balanced professionals. And I felt what we saw from Harvey was a little bit of inexperience. He was a little naive at moments, even the way he went into tackles, the way he looked at things. My other big fear, I will have to admit, is that European matches are refereed completely different. And I think sometimes I want those cooler heads to prevail. We've seen the little flicks that come up with a red card, the heavy dive-in tackle. And that made me nervous about a kid that excited and that pent up and that, overwhelmed with the moment. So we've come down off the lineup. I think we were all okay with the rest of the lineup. What was the opinion that you guys had, say, at the 30-minute mark, as we're watching them just completely kind of gut through us, come at us? Did either of you, and we'll start with you, Jamie, expect Inter Milan, an Italian-based team, to come out with a Premier League-like frenetic pace?
I mean, no, I didn't. The Italian teams are known to be defensively solid, sit back a bit, not quite as gung-ho and cutthroat as the Prem is, but nobody is. The Prem's the most exciting, the most fast-paced, physical. I mean, it's got everything. It ticks every box. Italians, not so much. I know we're not here to talk about what everybody else thinks about Liverpool. We're here to talk about what we think about Liverpool, etc. But I believe there was an article I read on BBC or something about the newspapers and the radios in Italy asking the Italian nation how they felt Inter Milan were going to do against Liverpool. And 50% of them said that Inter Milan were going to get hosed. And I mean, that, like, you would imagine a certain bit of national pride even to creep in there and just be like, nah, we're going to slaughter Liverpool, you know. But, you know, even the Italians knew they were up against, and Inzaghi said it himself. You know, Liverpool were the team that they wanted to avoid the most. So, I mean, no, you get what you paid for with the Italian sides, I think.
And it is a great point. You know, the media was talking about how dominant they were, and Kazi jumped back in here with a quick comment. You know, can't believe how lucky Liverpool were with all them 0 shots on target for Inter. So,
come on, Kazi, you know better. You know better than to talk to an Irishman about luck.
Yeah, I mean, to jump off Kazi's point, I mean,
yep.
The AmericanScouser.com posted a great picture earlier today on the match momentum chart. Everyone should go onto the page and take a quick look at that when they can. But I mean, the opportunities and the momentum when it comes to the goal scoring, you know, positions was all Liverpool. I mean, the reality is, yes, Inter Milan did hit the crossbar in the first half, but besides that, they had no shots on target. That doesn't count as a shot on target. So they ended the game with 0 shots on target. I saw it was the first time that Inter Milan has finished a home game since 2009, either in the league or in Europe, with 0 shots on target. And that speaks to a whole lot more than just luck. That speaks to a calculated effort from our entire team on basically how to show, of all teams, Italians, how to defend in San Siro, where some of the greatest defenders ever have played in the past.
So what do you hear this? This was a tweet I read just after the game as well. So statistically, no team in the competition has produced more shots per game than Inter Milan this season. 19.7 shots on average. Yet this has only resulted in 8 goals. For reference, Liverpool took 17.8 shots a game and have scored 17 goals this season. Wow. 2 different animals, 2 completely different animals. And the cheek of some people to suggest that luck was involved. I can't wait to the 8th of March we get them back to Anfield. Can't wait.
Yeah, and to Darren and to Daz's point, and Darren O'Connor, you know, not once did I think Inter would rattle us. And I'm actually with him. I wasn't as much worried about Inter as I was our play. You know, our first 30 minutes of play seemed disjointed. We appeared to not be on the boil. Like, you know, granted we had opportunities. You know, let's touch on a couple of those opportunities in the first half. Probably the most glaring being the Sadio Mane miss on the Robertson.
I thought you were going to say the overhead kick there for a second.
Well, we're not gonna hammer on someone missing a beautiful overhead kick.
I'd still be celebrating. If that went in, I'd still be celebrating. I'd be off in the woods, man.
We all can celebrate goals that almost go in. I think part of being a Liverpool supporter is recognizing, to your point, Jamie, from the comment before, when you're creating 17 to 18 chances a game, you kind of do start to forget about the ones that hit the side netting, the ones that treble off to the side.
Sure.
But coming into that half, as we're going in, you know, 0-0, as we march into that half, and we are at a 0-0 tie, you know, a 0-0 draw in a tie that is important. And we're going to get to the away goals being removed from the Champions League and how that changes a 2-legged tie a little later in the podcast. As we're going into halftime, did either of you believe that changes were needed? And Scott, we're going to start with you.
I think immediately the answer would be yes. I think that the first half was very entertaining, maybe for the neutral, but for, you know, us Liverpool fans that know that we could have played better than we did, we recognize that there were some gaps that we needed to clear up. I personally did not think that change was going to be Jota. I thought that had we made a change, it would be in the midfield at halftime. That being said, obviously, hindsight's 2020. It seems that he came out of the game with a knock. But regardless, when coming out for the second half, I did think that Liverpool needed some sort of different dynamic. I didn't believe it was going to be Firmino at that point. Obviously, it worked out. But yeah, we definitely needed something, because for sure in the first half, we were pressing. We had great opportunities. And I think credit to Mane on creating those opportunities for himself with his movement and with his, just sheer intensity of trying to get into a goal-scoring opportunity. That being said, I think that it was disjointed. I thought that our midfield connection between our defense and our offense on transitions was very, very poor. And I think that we really, relied on maybe Fabinho or Thiago trying to make a piercing pass that, if it doesn't come off, it's very low probability. So I thought that a change was necessary, but specifically in the midfield.
And Jamie, what if you felt the same way as Scott did regarding kind of the disjointedness between the front three and the midfielders when that substitution was getting ready at half? Did you expect it to be a midfield player? Did you expect it to be a player from the front three? I honestly, when I saw Firmino getting ready, I thought maybe we were going to be switching systems and moving to a 4-2-3-1, that Klopp was going to maybe take off of what Napoli had done the week before to Inter, and really how they kind of neutralized their five-man midfield, and did it with more of an attacking-minded set. When I saw Bobby walk up and the number 20 go up on the board, my mindset changed a little bit, because I genuinely thought that would be a substitution for Harvey Elliott at that point. Sure. What were your thoughts when you saw that second half sub?
I'll be honest with you, I was still absolutely livid with the referee for blowing it up as Mo was running through end of the first half. But yeah, I mean, you pose a great question. Do I think somebody in the midfield should have been made first? Obviously, we know now in hindsight why Jota came off. Precautionary, of course. But even still, as we're going to get onto the subs worked. Let's not beat a dead horse here. But yeah, it was strange. I was kind of the opinion, let the guys go out. We'll grow into the game. I'm sure, Harvey's being blooded into this game. But yeah, I mean, a little shocking. But yeah, when the subs work, they work. Like Klopp kind of said about Harvey. If he doesn't play well, it's on me. If he does play great, it's all on him. Same thing with the triple trifecta of subs that were sent out to devour some Italians. That was just excellent.
It was nice, and I found it especially gratifying to see Henderson come on at that point. And make such a big impact, because he had a tough match over the weekend. He's been criticized recently for his play, really this entire campaign, when you add in the injuries, a little bit of drop in form. That he completed more passes in his time on the pitch than Harvey, Thiago, and Fabinho combined. And they started.
That just shows the measure of the man, doesn't it? That just shows what he's all about. Like, I'll hold my hand up. I've criticized him recently, not necessarily in the past. I was a big advocate of him in his early days. I have to admit, I definitely didn't like a lot of the stuff that was being talked about him in the early days. But we now know the measure of the man. Like I'm saying, we know exactly what he's all about: grit, determination, hard work, the voice of the club. He chases every ball with his words. He kicks every ball. If you make a mistake, he's the first voice you'll hear. Very much like Carragher. Carragher was the voice. Gerrard wasn't. And Hendo had the ability to learn from both of them. But like you said, with the passing and the determination to grab the game and force an impact on it, I mean, he's fantastic. But like I said, I'll definitely hold my hand up. I've been critical of him recently because he's not getting any younger. But I think that was the perfect time for him. 45 minutes to go out there and show the team how to do it. Like, creating more passes than 3 midfielders. That's a joke.
3 midfielders who got to start the match.
Yeah.
That's another big key. And now I will say I was a little shocked when Diaz, Keita, and Hendo come on all together, and one of those numbers going up was Fabinho's. I
was shocked.
Yep.
Hold my hand up. I expected Thiago to come off along with a couple others. And
why do you think he didn't?
I think it was a combination. I think Fabinho has played a lot of minutes, and I think Jurgen knows there's a lot of big matches coming up. I also think a big part of it was that they were doing nothing at that point to actually require you to play a holding mid in front of 2 center backs that were bossing the entire pitch. And I think that's maybe somewhere we should spend a couple minutes here before we get into the goals and before we get into the absolute ball of talent that is Luis Diaz. And we will spend some time talking about what Luis Diaz can bring to this offense and what we see every time he comes on. I felt in a lot of ways that this was the best of Virgil van Dijk we have seen since the injury. And as great as Matip has played all year, and I think he's been our best center back since day one of this season over the whole course of the campaign, I feel this might have been the most complete performance we saw of a center back pairing that takes us all the way back to like healthy Joe Gomez pre-injury playing along Virgil, where they looked like they were literally the best 2 center backs in all of the EPL. So for me, let's talk a little bit about that defensive shape, that defensive strength, and what you saw from the partnership between Konate and Van Dijk, and what you think that might mean for the progression of this side as a whole, Scott.
Yeah. I think that, definitely looking at the beginning of that second half, you could see Inter's tactics. They were putting it along the sides. They were trying to get it over our, bombing outside backs. And they were looking to bring it into the center, either on a cross or through the dribble. And that put a lot of pressure into Konate and Van Dijk, whether that be, players coming at them with pace or whether that be crosses going in. I mean, I lost count of how many balls came in from, our right side over Trent that Konate swept away. I mean, it was incredible. And their combination of just pressure and cover and their ability to back each other with their pace was something that obviously we require from playing such a high line. And, credit to Klopp. He's brought in yet another player that fits the bill in terms of what he's looking for, with that pace, with that composure on the ball, and with that very high press and intensity. And, for sure, Konate, I saw that Van Dijk got the man of the match in the end, but, Konate deserved that shout, I think. I think that, with everything that comes from a game at the San Siro, with a European Champions League knockout game, I think Konate was fantastic. I mean, really, really good.
So obviously, Diaz comes in, brings just a ball of energy, starts running at defenders. He's so direct. If there's one thing that caught my eye, it's just his movement. He moves as if he's played inside this system for 5 years.
Yep.
And he's been here for 5 minutes. And to me, it just shows the actual work of the recruitment team to be able to scout players and see their skill sets and know when they'll fit in. And the fact that he's been able to bet in and actually make this type of an impact, I mean, it takes 2 amazing blocks by Inter Milan to stop him from getting his first goal of his Liverpool, camp or of his account and opening his account. And you can almost see the pain on his face when he doesn't score, because he knows it's coming. He knows it's moving, and he just knows that it's exactly where he wants to take it. So when Diaz makes these runs, he's making the interactions, he's playing off of Mo, and we still haven't broken through for that first goal yet, right? Where was it? Was there a point in that match where you started to think to yourself, where's this goal coming from? How are we going to see this goal? Because I will be honest, there was a time period for me where it just felt like it might be one of those days where we attack. We have 20, 25 opportunities and 10 on goal, and none go in. And then the miraculous flick header. So, Jamie, for you, can you explain to me why in 2022 there isn't a defender on a post anymore? I appreciate why the Italians had no defender on the post. But, you've been watching this sport, I think, longer than I have. Can you explain to me why there was no defender to just flick that ball off?
Cardinal sin. Absolutely cardinal sin. I mean, that's schoolboy stuff. You have a man on both posts unless, God knows what the Italians thought they were doing. But that flick on header, look, I'm going to be a bit controversial here. Yes, look, Bobby's out there making no-look headers now. We joked in the Discord channel. But yeah, I'm going to be a bit controversial. I think Bobby's just getting his flick on. He's just first to the ball. He's just directing that. He's just glancing it into that channel, into that corridor of uncertainty was the chat back in the day. And because he's just flicked it with so little pace on it, it's as if the ball starts outside of the post. The ball just, because it's slow, it drifts in. He doesn't make great contact, but Megan and I were kind of joking in the Discord channel, and Megan was the one who said Bobby out here making no look headers make them look easy. And look, I was drilled as an attacking midfielder and striker. The goalposts don't move. They are stationary. If you're good, you know where they are. Wherever you are on the pitch, head down. You were always told, head down, don't look up. Same as golf. Don't look up to start celebrating. Listen, and you'll hear it hit the back of the net. The goalposts do not move. I think Bobby is just getting contact on it. He's not trying to get it into that far post, but absolute cardinal sin. Definitely should have been a player on that back stick. They should be fined a week's wages. Ridiculous. Call themselves Italian. And
they can't defend.
Maldini would be pissing in their grave.
Scott, what about you after that first goal goes in, right? And I'm with you, Jamie. I think that Bobby was absolutely flicking that ball into the danger zone, hoped it found its way into the mixer, and it just happened to find its way into the bottom backhand corner. And that's okay, too.
Absolutely okay. No problem there. It's for arseholes like me and you and Scott to discuss this and be like, no, he meant it. I'm like, I don't give a shit. We're celebrating either way.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if intent doesn't go down on the scorecard. Just that man's name.
Absolutely. So we score the first goal. There was a relief. I could see it amongst the players because their tails went up as soon as that first goal went in because they knew Milan had to come out now. Inter was going to have to make the move on them. And you could almost feel that they had their attacking verb, that they got excited for the next opportunities. Yep. So as we move that forward, right, and Virgil goes and is able to drop that header down, and Konate lays it off, and Mo touches the ball into the, back into the net. Scott, what were you thinking? Was it good night the lights, 2-0 up, tie is over? Were you more along the lines of this is still something we have to fight through? Where did you take it from there?
So we'll go to my thought at the end of the game. We have a 2-0 scoreline. I am never case closed, done. This is halftime. This is halftime. And we would be naive to go into a game against, albeit the current reigning Italian champions, saying that this game is over. Even if it's at Anfield, even if we are in form, this is just halftime. And it's that.
Come on, Scott, put on your rose-tinted glasses. We're going through. We're going through. We're going through.
Jamie, you can't say we're going through yet. We still got to sing about Wembley, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Don't you worry about that, my friend.
Yes, but I do think that let's not miss the opportunity to talk about the attacking input past that first goal. I do want to do that special shout out that I feel like we swished through a little bit. How about Diaz? I mean, to come into a team, like you said, and just kind of fit like a glove. He's been here for a week and he's making these runs across to the right side of the field and laying over and changing positions and interchanging with players and Salah. And I mean, it was a joy to watch to just see another player fit the mold. And obviously he's been here a week, but now we've had 3 chances to see him, 3 different games to see what he can do. And I mean, it's impressive. The fact that he's able to make those runs, to connect with Trent, to get onto the end of balls and just looks like a constant threat, a constant menace to defenders. I mean, wow, that was fantastic. And then you mentioned, our goals. Well, let's talk about, 2 more goals with free kicks. I mean, 2 more set piece goals. And yeah, Van Dijk's knocked down into Salah. It looked like Salah knew that the ball was going in regardless of how. He knew that ball was getting to the back of the net and he needed his goal. And credit to him, credit to the team. They got the job done.
I'm giving Konate assist on that goal. I don't give a shit how close he was to it. That man jumped out of it like Lord God himself. Divock Origi was coming after him. Like he got out the way. I don't know what Mo managed to whisper to him, but he said, "Step off, man."
Yep.
And fair play to Konate. And like Scott said, we kind of glazed over Diaz, but I feel like you could pull up that lineup list again, and we could go through every man on the first 11 and the 12 on the bench, because the 12 on the bench, we joked again about in the Discord, like the 12 on the bench could have made a decent 11.
Yep.
We've glazed over Konate, we've glazed over Diaz a wee bit, but to a man, we played phenomenal. Well, we didn't play phenomenal. We didn't. We done all right. We grinded the job out, which is much more important than when you play phenomenal. Because when you play phenomenal, it seems easy. You make the hard things look easy. Yeah, it was hard. We made it look hard because it was. We grind them out. Yeah, Milan didn't threaten as much as possibly they could have. But Martinez and Dzeko, as soon as they got faced with Konate and Virgil van Dijk, they shit themselves. That was it. Game over. And yes, Scott, you're absolutely right. And we'll play the we're halfway through card, but inside, all us fans know it's tie over. And Jurgen and the lads are waxing lyrical about, yes, it's only halfway. And inside, I hope they're pissing themselves. I hope we're laughing our heads off, because once we get them back to Anfield, it's good night, McKnight.
You can stop reading my mind. I'm going to save face and still say it's only halftime. I'm sticking to it, okay? I don't care what I really think. It's only halftime.
And Chris Strain jumps in with, it's the Champions League. It's supposed to be hard. And I think this is where we're at as supporters. We genuinely believe we go anywhere and we beat everyone. We'll beat Bayern Munich and Bayern. We'll beat Inter and Inter. We beat AC Milan at AC Milan. We'll beat Atletico at Atletico, right? We've gotten to a point where we expect to win every single match. And we expect every single match to be like a world beater performance, which isn't fair to the lads. And I think to Jamie's point, there was a much deeper bench than we've seen in a long, long time. So Chris also made a great point here and brought up how Inzaghi seemed nervous, right? And actually, genuinely, what is the response going to be? Because he's really going to be the picture of calm when they're at Anfield. So I want to kind of fast forward to the match at Anfield. And what I want to get on your opinion on here is the removal of the away goals tiebreaker in this knockout competition. and what your opinion of it. Because honestly, I've heard it both ways, and I have my own, which I'll share in a minute. But Jamie, when you first heard UEFA decided to remove the away goals tiebreaker, did you believe it was going to help this competition or hurt it?
Is this the LFC news in 60 seconds? Because this is the first time I'm hearing this. Apparently nobody told Mo Salah there's no away goals. That man didn't give two shits. He got his anyway. We're 2-0 up, lads, away. No, in all seriousness, away goals, it's part of my staple diet. You know, that's how I know the Champions League. That's how I know the European Cup. But that's all we know. It's a difficult pill to swallow. Even Klopp was told about it. You know, like he was a player. He was a fan as well, watching these games, watching that drama unfold with the away goal. Conversely, you could say that with away goals gone now, you're not chasing away goal away from home. So that doesn't mean you're left open at the back because you're chasing an away goal. Therefore, you can get home. And it's, you know, it's a difficult fish to fry. But, you know, you can fall down on either side of it and still be okay because guess what? There's still another team on the pitch. They have to get their turn as well. You know, both teams have an away leg, right? So, I mean, I'm in between. Nostalgia-wise, I'm always going to miss it for the drama. But it doesn't really, touch wood, hasn't affected Liverpool as much recently in recent history in our Champions League endeavors as it possibly should have. You know, Barcelona, famously, we didn't score away. Mm-hmm. We scored all four at home, saved the best to last. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Nostalgia is definitely going to miss it. My brain is automatically going to treat every away game like it is an away goal. So it'll take some getting used to, I guess.
Yeah, Jamie, I think I like your point how, you know, knock on wood, that it hasn't affected us. But I'm going to disagree with you in a little bit in a sense that it hasn't changed the game. And I think it does do a disservice to teams that have fortresses at their home stadium. I think to teams like Liverpool that do so well in their defensive responsibilities when they play at home, and other teams may see, oh, well, we don't have to worry about, you know, how many they score at ours because we get to go there. There's no difference. There's no difference on what the weight of a goal is. And when Liverpool were so sturdy, when Barcelona came with a 3-0 lead to Liverpool and didn't score a single goal there, you know, had we let up one goal, it could have changed everything. Our intensity was so tight because of that rule. And I think it takes away a dynamic and a little special feeling for fans and for players that rule's gone. There's no additional level of intensity or that other level of just drama that I think we came to love.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that takes me into my point, Scott, of where how I feel about it. When I first really got into this game 10, 15 years ago, and probably about 7 to 8 years ago, where I got to the point where I was watching every single match and understanding it. Like many things, right? I had to be educated on what an away goal meant and how it worked in a two-legged tie. Now, the excitement and the energy of thinking to myself, well, if they score one, the other team needs to score two. And if we do this, to me, that was part of the strategy. I loved it. Now, I'll say this. I fell asleep Tuesday watching the Real Madrid PSG game. And I blame UEFA for removing the away goal. Because honestly, Carlo Ancelotti, the most pragmatic great manager in the history of great managers, set up a team to watch paint dry at the camp, and that's what he did. He had no intention of attacking. He knew Benzema wasn't right. He knew they couldn't score goals. So he set up a defensive outfit and he tried. I genuinely believe Carlo Ancelotti was playing for a 0-0 draw. And because of it, the best player on the pitch, who I'm sure Real Madrid will be happy when they sign next year, and whoever the manager is that replaces Carlo Ancelotti will probably be happy as well that he has Mbappe on the team. But he scores that worldly goal in late times. And to me, that's what removing the away goals process hurts for me, is that the play is no longer the same. And I think Chris puts it out here. Chris Strain says away goals being taken away, makes zero sense. It was supposed to even the score and between smaller teams in the opposition and the big boys. And it does.
Sorry,
right?
Gally. You got me falling asleep there talking about Real Madrid. I'm sorry.
Well played, Jamie. I was questioning whether or not you could actually stay with the topic or not, but no, it's good to know that it was all act and comedy.
I'm joking.
It really was.
It was fantastic points about the away goals. Like it's part and parcel of the game. It's part and parcel of European away leg football. It's going to be hard to tell. It's going to take a lot of time to get used to.
And I think we'll also see it'll take a lot of time to determine what the impact of taking the rule away is. Let's see 5 years from now how this rule change does impact the two-legged affairs. Could this team have gone through, this underdog team against Barcelona have gone through just had they had this rule again, You know
what the problem there is, Scott?
What?
That would all make sense if, to Chris Strain's point is that, and I'll bring it back up on the screen here, that UEFA was actually doing it to help even the score. But I believe this rule was removed is because UEFA wants to protect the big boys. They don't want the RB Salzburgs or, RB Salzburgs to get their first match against Bayern and take them 1-1 and then go get a goal on the road or get 2 goals on the road and advance on a draw. Because UEFA has actually recognized that it doesn't help them when the little minnows make it through. We talk about the Champions League and the drama and the Cinderellas, right? It's not any different with the basketball tournament in America. Everyone talks about the wonderful college basketball tournament, but at the end, they still want the top 8 teams playing at the end because it helps their advertising, it helps the money. And that's
maybe I'm misconstruing what you just said, Gally, but I remember reading an article, and I can't necessarily remember if it was just about the English Premier League or if it was about soccer in general, but they were saying something about more often than not, the minnows, probability-wise, the teams that shouldn't be beaten giant killings happen more often in soccer than they do in any other sport. So to your point and to Chris's point as well, it's supposed to help smaller teams, but I'm not sure it does. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to take a long time to figure this out because I think it's going to be an issue that could potentially be larger than what we assume it is. Yeah, it's a problem. I don't like this idea of rules changing. Like that's a subtle rule, but it could potentially be a very important one. What ifs and maybes can't be measured is what I'm saying. So I think it could be a potentially dangerous thing.
And to Chris's point, I brought this comment up. I didn't want to cut you off, Jamie. I just want to make sure Chris understands and any other listener. I am by no means, I'm advocating that the away goals rule was required to help the smaller clubs. Mm-hmm. I am a supporter who looks at the names on the sheet and immediately roots for the better story in any sport, and especially this sport. So the fact that the powers that be are once again creating rules to work with their pocketbooks and their pockets and the coffers rather than the supporters is one more reason that I really feel like, for as much as we're not going down the Super League conversation with 10 minutes to go here. And
that's what it is, right? Yeah, you didn't buy the Super League bullshit, so fuck you guys. We're taking your away goals.
I mean, it's almost, though, it's no different. They were mad at the Super League for only helping the big clubs. And now that the powers that be are pulling people down. They're almost saying, like, we're going to do what you wanted. We're going to help you big clubs.
Yep.
So just shut up and stop trying to break off your little no UEFA allowed, with the big sign on the door.
And Gally, I completely agree with your point. I can't really speak for basketball. I don't know too much about it. I obviously know that the March Madness people love those underdog stories. But, let's say come next round, we love underdog stories. We want Red Bull Salzburg to go as far as possible. But to UEFA, what is more of a moneymaker? Red Bull Salzburg versus PSG or Bayern versus PSG?
I'd argue it's more lucrative for a smaller team to get more money than it is for the bigger clubs to continue getting more money.
For sure, they're going to get more money than obviously they're used to, or that accumulation.
Short-sightedly, yeah,
exactly, for sure. But to Gally's point, UEFA want those big name games. They want these monster super clubs, like you said, that Super League. They want those clubs playing each other because those are the most marketable across people of the casual fan.
Yeah.
Us three will die to watch Red Bull Salzburg tear Messi a new one. But UEFA doesn't want that. That's the reality of it.
Speaking of Messi, I will say the only thing that woke me up was the announcer on Sirius XM clamoring after he missed yet another penalty. And I'm sorry. We can all talk about the greatness that is, and he's probably the greatest living player of my lifetime. But the man has missed as many penalties in the Champions League as all but one player. Only Thierry Henry missed more penalties in his professional career than Messi. And that's not a record you want. Other than
I haven't missed any. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't missed one.
Yeah,
I've never missed one, but I wasn't allowed to take him on my team, so I just got him.
Andy Robertson slapped the juju out of Messi. Andy Robertson in Liverpool killed Messi. And
I don't think you're that far off, Jamie. Actually,
I'm Barca. They played in the Europa. They played Europa League tonight, but they won tonight, didn't they? I believe. Not that I give it.
They drew.
They drew.
Yeah, Napoli. They drew. And I will say it was very nice seeing them. Very nice seeing them play in the Europa League. That was very happy. My biggest greatest idea was that both Barcelona and Manchester United would both be jettisoned down to the Europa League, and Messi and Ronaldo would have to play each other in a two-legged affair to see who could go to the round of 555 in the Europa League, or maybe even drop down to the Europa Conference. That would have just been something special.
Meanwhile, Milner's still in the Champions League.
Yep.
I will say this: we're gonna dovetail away from all the positives, right? And this is a wonderful podcast when you have a midweek win like that, and you set yourself up to move on to the quarterfinals in the Champions League, and your squad is only getting stronger and healthier as you get ready to compete for more and more titles. But it wasn't all positives leaving Milan. So as we found out today, we have seen that it wasn't just a precautionary substitution for Jota, that it was an actual ligament damage injury. And there are pictures of him. I have one here. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. It is very small, so I'll apologize. But this shows the type of reporting we do at American Scouser. We steal people's cell phone pictures to report on for you. And if you zoom in there, you will see a walking boot and two crutches. And it is never a good idea when you can't leave the city in which you are traveling home without crutches. And they're now talking that it looks like Jota most likely will be out through at least the League Cup final.
Let me jump in on this. Let me jump in on this, right? So Liverpool fans, being typical Liverpool fans, we're never satisfied. Some of us, like we can't just take a 0 away win at the San Siro against Inter Milan. At full time, there was rumors going around that Ox was injured and out for the rest of the season. Turns out it was just a physio stretching him out on the sideline. Jota may be out for a couple of weeks. He may miss the final coming up at the end of February. I'm not necessarily that worried because we've got a player like Diaz, because we've got the two of the front three back from AFCON. But, Jota's been fantastic. I've been his number one fan. I absolutely adore everything about his game. He's direct, strong, doesn't give a shit, excellent at celebrations. What's not to love? Like he's the best Portuguese striker in the league, in the world, in Portugal. I mean, the list goes on. I love him to bits. But if he has to miss 3 or 4 weeks, then surely now's the time because, yes, we've got the final, but we've got a good stretch of home games coming up. I'd much rather him now miss a few weeks and be ready for the end of the season than kind of what last season, because he missed a great deal. Again, when he was in similarly fantastic form. But yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. I love him.
Scott, how about you? Impact on the club to lose your number one striker and second leading scorer, and the guy who's created the most opportunities on the pitch for your club, going into a week time where you're playing twice a week, including a League Cup final at Wembley.
To piggyback off Jamie, I do think that, don't get me wrong, Jota is a loss for any team, and the fact that he is coming off of,
especially Wolves,
an incredible passer of putting the ball in the net for us is definitely a loss for any team, like I said. But I think that we as a fan base have to stop looking at our squad as this is our starting 11, that Jota is our starting striker, because we have began to mold to a team that doesn't have a set starting 11. We can say obviously that there are some shoo-ins, like, obviously, 3 of the 4 back line is a shoo-in to start. But now we have the luxury of debating who the other center back for Van Dijk is. We have the luxury of debating who the better striker is, Jota or Firmino. And obviously that doesn't just have to be putting the ball in net. It has to do with the overall play of our team. So yeah, we will lose Jota, and that will lose something across the board of what he brings to play. But I do think that we are in a point now. We have 5 of our next 6 games at home. We have a fresh, revitalized squad, barring any future injuries. Again, everyone knock on wood. All of you listening, knock on some wood, go find it. But we're in a good point that when we need players fit and firing for the stretch at the end, or when we get into later stages of the Champions League, then that's when I want my players fit and firing for sure.
And there's no questions about that. The impact it will have on the squad isn't as glaring, which was where I was going to try to take this conversation with you guys, is because we've strengthened it and we have other players still coming back. Taki is a player that divides the fan base, but when he gets moments to play, he usually gets moments to score and scores goals. Divock has, well, we all know on this podcast, the place in which Divock holds for Jamie, the place in which he holds for Bickler, and I'm right in between, where I can't understand exactly why I love him so much or why I hate him. And the reason I hate him is because I'm pretty sure I care more about the success of the club than he does. But
they hate us because they hate us, Gally. They hate us because they hate us.
That is absolutely true, James. So we only have a minute or 2 left here, guys. It was a great show. I want to thank you guys. We bounced around. We had a big match to cover. I really enjoyed the conversation around the Champions League away goals, because I think when we touch on things that are bigger than just the club, it allows us to actually share our ideas and why we love this game so much. And we help educate some of those newer fans, especially a lot of those in the United States that we're trying to support here at American Scouser. Saturday morning, you expect rotation against Norwich? You expect a similar starting 11? And what do you expect for a result? We got about a minute each, so let's just wrap it up. Jamie, we'll start with you.
Let's go 5-0, Suarez style. Heavy rotation. Why not? I mean, yeah. Fuck it. It's only Norwich.
I mean, you are playing a team in the championship. They just have to wait 4 more months to get there.
That's right.
And we play them in the cup in a couple of weeks.
Fish, how about you? Give me your prediction for the scoreline and what you see rotation, if any.
I think 5-0 would be great if all 5 of those can come from Salah because he's triple captained this week for my fantasy team. I think that'll be great. In terms of rotation, I do see that there's definitely going to be both of our midfielders ahead of Fabinho will be changed from this game. I think that Elliott and Thiago will get a break, and I think that one of Henderson or 2 of Henderson, Keita, and Jones will get the start. I think Matip comes back into the lineup. But yeah, like I said, we have the depth now to create rotation, to give players, maybe Diaz gets a start. I think that, as a fan base, it's really exciting to no longer know what we're going to get each game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I think we'll see some rotation. I think we'll probably see you'll probably see Šimikas get a start in the back at left back. I think giving maybe Robo a little rest with the Leeds match coming midweek. I could also see, this could be a James Milner start, a match where you can actually throw out the 85-year-old and the old bones aren't going to get run off the pitch, and he'll pick up his yellow card in the first, 17 minutes and make it to the 63rd minute like he does every single match. I think you could see that up front. I'm with you. I think this could be another Luis Diaz start and could be Klopp's way of really getting him engaged. And who knows, maybe this could be a Diaz, Mane, and Salah start to give Firmino a little rest. I think what the Jota injury is going to do, and where I was trying to take it is I think it's going to allow us to see a more fluent mixture of the front 3 and players playing in different positions. Yeah. But I almost believe that Jota and Salah had almost written their names in as, 1
Solid
and
starters.
3.
Yep.
1 and 3 with Virgil probably number 2 as the second name on the team sheet. Mo's name goes on the team sheet because he'll eat your arm if you try to say that he's not going to start. And, for all those out there worried in the fantasy world that Salah's not going to get both starts, even if he doesn't, there's still a good chance he'll come off the bench and score 3 goals against one of those dregs. So go ahead, make him your triple captain. Everyone with a brain in America is going to do it. And here's my last FPL tip for those folks. This is why you don't make transfers early. Because all those people that made transfers early are going to have an injured Jota sitting on their bench with 2 games they thought he was going to play. So hold off, folks, till, a couple hours before the deadline. Make your moves. Pick up your 3 Liverpool players. Triple captain Salah. And I hope all of you green arrows all the way through the week, right? Green arrows all the way up. And everybody that follows American Scouser knows we're all rooting for Kelly Galvin, who is this close to making it into the top 10,000 of the entire game. And I got to give my wife credit. When we started playing this game 5 years ago, she honestly didn't know a single player's name. And now she reads off the players to me and then makes fun of me when I make bad moves. And she does better than I do.
So Gali, I've been playing fantasy for a long time. Traditionally, where I come from, when you're in a league together, now your scenario is different. You're in a house together. Now, when I was in a league with my friends back home, we had our private group. We have our American Scouser group, but I have my private group with my friends. It's all about bragging rights. Maybe there's a couple of pints thrown in on the wager to make it sweet.
A little more than a couple.
But always there's a forfeit at the end of the season. Now, quite famously, Shankly, when we got beat, his wife used to say that he used to clean the stove. He would he'd get on his hands and knees and he'd just be furiously cleaning the stove.
We didn't lose that often, but when we did, he cleaned the stove. I can see some stove cleaning in your future.
It's probably stove cleaning, Jamie. There's probably a trip or two. We talked about it the other day. We've been, the bets have gone out there. The problem is she likes to make like real, you get in a United jersey and I'll take a picture bet. That shit can't happen.
No, it cannot.
Right?
No, it can't, Kelly.
No,
it can't.
I'll get divorced first. Like that stuff's not going to happen. And she knows. So we're going to keep rooting for Kelly. We're going to keep rooting for Team Klopp back to stay atop of the American Scouser bracket. Believe it or not, she's basically almost run this thing wire to wire, where she's been in the top, which is really, really impressive. This isn't an easy game to play. And as those in our Discord channel will know, it's mainly because the game is broken and hard. That makes it so tough to do well.
That is right. It's rigged.
But it's not
said by everybody not doing well.
Forever. It's been this way forever. You just haven't got used to it. It's the heartbreak. It's an absolute pain in the arse. But it's kind of like watching Divock Origi. You never know what you're gonna get.
That is a great segue to end this out. And where we're gonna go right now is we're gonna take it out of here on Chris Strain's comment when we were talking about Jota's injury and where we were going. He made probably the most poignant point of this entire show, and that is, we are fine. We've got Joel Matip. And it is true.
That's right.
If you can't get on having fun watching that giraffe run up and down the pitch, go on long-standing runs, come back with a smile, and then a smirk that looks like he's confused, that he doesn't understand why you think it's funny, he's smiling. And the best part is, there's probably a T-shirt representing that emotion of him looking at himself in a T-shirt.
Joel Andre Matip, man. The only man to slap Hendo on the back of the head and then just smile at him like nothing.
That's right.
Happened.
The only one to slap him on the back of the head and survive.
Correct. Guys, we went over tonight, and that's how you know it's been a lot of fun. And we could have talked about these topics all day and all night. I appreciate you both very much. To everyone listening, please like, share. If you're interested in joining our Discord fan channel and getting involved in this ongoing community conversation that happens basically every minute of every day, feel free to drop us a message, a comment, or send us a private message through Facebook Messenger. We'll make sure to send you the link. We would love to have you guys involved. If you can, please share and like. And if you have comments or ways that we can make this podcast or any of our content at American Scouser better for you, the Liverpool supporter here in the United States, that's what we're here for. So please continue to share those comments and thoughts with us, because we're here for you. Up the Reds. Guys, make it a good week. We'll see you on Thursday.
Absolutely. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds. See you guys.
Wembley.